Today, I want to show you the chords to a lesser-known Beach Boys song from 1964. Off the All Summer Long album, this one is called Don't Back Down. I expect this to be a shorter lesson than my usual 20-plus minute affairs, as this song is not full of amazingly complex chord progressions like some of the Brian Wilson songs that I've analyzed here on my channel. But it does have, some interesting key modulations and, noteworthy voicings in the background vocals that songwriters and musicians will benefit from understanding. The main point of my song analysis videos here is to show those tricks and devices that great songwriters employ, whether they're aware of it or not, because some work is intuitive, and try to make it so you can understand them and put them into use in your own songwriting. Please take a moment to help me grow this online community by hitting subscribe below, ringing the notification bell so you know when I release new videos, hitting the like button, and leaving comments. You help me tremendously in my efforts to reach more people with this channel. Pay a visit to my YouTube homepage and hit the playlist tab to see the various categories that I offer. Please consider joining my Patreon called High Castle Conservatory, where we do even more advanced chord analysis, exclusive online classes, songwriting, arranging, and music production lessons, harmonic science content, exclusive interviews, exotic music appreciation recommendations, and more. Explore the various tiers on my Patreon Conservatory today. Along the road that led from the early Beach Boys era of Surfin' Safari and Surfer Girl, but before they had reached the ultra-sophisticated glory of the Pet Sounds and Smile period, there was an increasing complexity to Brian's music that would rear its head even on some of the more, ostensibly simple, superficial car and surf songs. This song, Don't Back Down, is a perfect example of that glimpse into the marvelous things that were yet to come from Brian and the boys. Don't back down. It seems like a phrase that was used for car races or maybe an after-school fight, but in this song it's applied to surfing, which is kind of strange and kind of cool in a really dorky Beach Boys way, as in, don't back down from that wave, dude. You got this, bro. You can do it. Your girl's watching you from the shore. Just grit your teeth and don't back down. You gotta be a little nuts, but just don't back down. The original key's in A-flat, but I moved it down a major third to E to help my aging voice, so it'll be more like this. First thing I want you to understand about this song form is it employs a basic blues progression. And so if we're in E, which we are, this sun means we're in E. That's, anytime you see a sun, it means a key change. So anything in a circle or a heart is not the chord we're playing. This is the chord we're playing. Anyway, this is a basic blues form to start off with. If you start in E and just do 4 bars of this, 4 bars of... Now, forget about all these slash chords. Just think of that A. Back to E. Forget about the slash chords. Now up to 5, B. And usually it would go to 4, then to 1. But that's not what happens, because this is Brian and he's starting to experiment with basic blues and rock forms. A lot of people know the blues, but not a lot of people know you can mess with the form and add chords to it as long as you retain its basic structure. So in this case, there's just 4 kick drums, and a little fill, and it starts right into the verse. And it's one of these type of boogie-woogie surf rock grooves. And what I mean by that is you have a bass that's wobbling from a half step below it. We've all heard it. If I go up to A, same thing. I don't know what you'd call that, a wobble, boogie-woogie groove, but it's... And this one up here does not do it. It just lets the bass... We've all heard it a million times in classic, rock and surf records. So right away, it starts with a vocal. Mike Love does the vocal. And the Beach Boys were interesting because most groups, the singer just sings. The Beach Boys a lot of times would do, Mike Love would do the lead on the verse, and then Brian, when it goes up higher into falsetto, would do the lead on the chorus. So this is a song like that. So a little surf song starting off with, the girls dig the way the guys get all wiped out with their feet in the air. You can hear them shout, they're not afraid. Not my boys. They grit their teeth, they don't back down. Do it. So anyway, these slash chords that happen here on this second line, you could almost put them in parentheses, because what I think is happening is the band is just playing the blues. But the background vocals, I think, are not. I think they're going. So even though it's doing some slash chords there and taking it out of the key, it's retaining this basic, blues progression. So top of the verse. The girls do, the guys get all wiped out with feet in the air. You can hear them shout, they're not afraid. Back down, don't back down. That's the background vocals. Don't back down, you don't back down. Up to that 5. They grit their teeth, oh. And then the background vocals say, ah, ooh. They grit their teeth, ah, ooh. They don't back down. Modulate. They don't back down. You gotta be a little nuts. And show now who's got good. You don't back down from that away. Then right back to the verse. All right, so we are retaining the basic blues form, but once we get up to 4 in E, it's turning it into a slash chord halfway through, so it's like this kind of thing. And then on E, then when it goes to the B, it kind of goes back to regular. They grit their teeth. Then it goes up a half step, which is a very strange moment. It's a modulation. So this is a type of modulation where you go to the flat 6. So we were in E. The flat 6 is C. And C happens to be the 5 of a key that is a half step higher than our original key, which would be F. So for a minute there, we're sort of suspended. You see, we're in F all of a sudden, and that C chord is the flat 6 of E, but it's also the 5 of F. And Brian uses that to take us to the next key, which is F. So up a half step. We had that blues form. Like, you can hear them shout, they're not afraid. They don't back down. They don't back down. They don't back down. Not a 5. They grit their teeth. Up to flat 6. They don't back down. New key. Don't back down. You gotta be a little nuts. So it switches to Brian on lead there, and he's saying, you got to be a little nuts. I love that line. And Brian really lets it out later in the song. He kind of screams in falsetto. You gotta be a little nuts. So anyway, yeah, it uses that flat 6 of the key we were in, which was E. So it ends up going to 5, right? And then goes up a half step, which is temporarily flat 6 of this E, but it's 5 of F, and then you look where he's going, and lo and behold, he's going to a new key of F, and doing the most basic of chord progressions. But one secret is when you switch keys, you have a new momentum, and the listener doesn't detect even the most basic chord progressions initially, because the listener's still trying to figure out what happened to the key. So Brian takes advantage of that and does the simplest progression you could do, 1, 4, 5, 1, 4, 5, for the chorus, and he takes over on falsetto. So the girls dig the rhythm, and all wiped out with their feet in the air. You can hear them shout, they're not afraid. Go back down, they don't back down. They grit their teeth, oh, they don't back down. You don't back. So we used that, climbed up to the flat 6, but we turned it into the 5 of a new key, which is F. Then we do that 1, 4, 5. So let's take it from that 5 again right here. They grit their teeth, they don't back down. New key, you don't back down. You gotta be a little nuts. You sure now who's got guns. You don't back down from that wave. So a little turnaround there where it kept F in the melody, and you can see B flat, F is the 5th of that. F over A, F is the 1, and then G7, F is the 7. So that's always a good tactic, is to leave one note in the melody and change the chords below it, right? So one more time from the 5, where it goes, they grit their teeth, they don't back down. Modulate up a half step, you don't back down, you gotta don't back down from that wave. Now this is wild. It goes right back to the verse, but look what key we're in. We're in the key of F. So you're so disoriented there as the listener that instead of them staying in F, it actually goes back to the original key, which was E, and it doesn't make any sense. I call that an unannounced modulation. It just goes straight back to the key with no chord whatsoever connecting it. So, you guys who's got guts, you don't back down from that wave, and then back to the key of E. Up a half step, they don't back down. You gotta be a little nuts and show now who's got guts. You don't back down from that wave. Original key. I think he uses that. Like I said, your ear was so like, where are we right now? We've already modulated up a half step, and now we end on the 2 dominant that we don't have to go back to F. We can go back to E. So don't forget that as songwriters, you can take advantage of the fact that a certain chord progression has the listener's ear wondering where they even are. So you take advantage of that and you can move keys, right? For those of you who have a bias towards my lessons that cover the Beach Boys, doo-wop, and the 60s wall of sound type of things, then I have an original project called I.S.S. that I would love for you to check out. As an introduction, try watching the video called She's a Girl on YouTube. This song pays homage to the Beach Boys' Smile album and the Wall of Sound in general. If you like it, then please consider buying the entire I.S.S. She's a Girl album on Bandcamp or on timsmolens.com, where you can also find other I.S.S. albums. Let's try a rendition of the song. The girls dig the way the guys get all wiped out. Feet in the air, you can hear them shout. They're not afraid, back down. Don't back down. Don't back down. Don't back down. They quit their teeth. They don't back down. You don't back down. You gotta be a little now. You show guys who's got guns. You don't back down from that wave. With 20-footer shoots and bridge and tunnel sailing. Grass thumping nose like you upside the head. They're not afraid. Don't back down. They don't back down. They grit their teeth. Oh, they don't back down. They don't back down. You gotta be a little nuts to show now who's got guns. You don't back down from that wave. So let me do a recap of the ideas that were at play in this song and some of the devices Brian Wilson was using, whether he knew it or not. I fully account for the intuitive aspect. There's some geniuses that really have no idea what they're doing, which is fine, but I like to understand them. So let's not forget about that half-step surf and rock bass wobble. It's where you take the bass note and you approach it from a half step below. So if you're an E, and the chords, whether it's the guitar or piano, they stay. They don't play that game. So if I go up a fourth to A, wow, 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 wow. We all know that sound, right? Well, I'm gonna raise a buzz, I'm gonna raise a holler. But that sound, we all know it. I don't know what to call it, but I call it the surf and the rock and the rockabilly wobble. So remember that the blues form in music, right? So obvious. To A, back to E, and then back to B. And usually it goes down to 4, which it didn't do in this song. 1, 5, then it starts it over. That's the 12-bar blues. But you can kind of jack with the blues as far as chords go. See, adding that slash chord did not change the fact that we're still doing a blues. We've just introduced some different notes, really. Pretty cool, though. If you want to check out another group who's really done some crazy reharmonizations with blues, would be Steely Dan. I mean, who would have known that this is a blues? You can really do a lot with the blues. Listen to Peg, that's a blues. Chain Lightning is a blues, and it is absolutely wild in its chord progressions, but I digress. The band can decide if they want to hit those slash chord modifications or just plow through in a regular blues. So instead of the band doing this whole thing, what if you just had the band just stay and just the vocals go, don't back down, they don't back down, over that blues. So that's it's hard to tell what the band's doing because the backing track is not super distinct, but I want everyone to know these slash chords, but I think if every comping instrument is playing all of them, it's going to sound kind of cheesy, so you have to know when to lay back. So yeah, a tracking band can decide not to hit the higher harmonies, which you could just have the vocals do, and that's an interesting decision, and I think Brian didn't have the band emphasize these slash chords, but the vocals sure do, and you'll hear it if you listen to the song. Another thing you can glean from this song as a writer or composer, someone who writes vocals, is the Beach Boys are a background vocal library of different sounds that no one else has done. So in this one, they're doing a lot of ow, or if they said they grit their teeth, ow. And there's some parts where the bass even pops out for a minute. He goes, not my boys. And the lead falsetto, when Brian takes over, is on its own, and it's not going along with the rhythm of the other background vocals. There are two modulations in this song that the songwriter can learn from. From the chord of the flat 6 of that E key we were in, remember it went to 5, but then it went up to flat 6, which became the 5 of a new key, a half step higher, which is F. So they used the flat 6 to migrate up a half step. I would call it a fully announced modulation because that C chord warns us a modulation is coming. This one, grit their teeth, right here. They don't back down, it's coming. Now we're you gotta be a little. At the end of the chorus, Brian walks down from 4 to 2 dominant in the F major key, a half step higher than our original key was. Then Brian suddenly goes back to that original key of E for the second verse without any warning. I call that an unannounced modulation because there is no chord whatsoever that leads. It just jumps to a new key. So it goes, and now it goes back to the original key of E. It doesn't stay up a half step. It out of nowhere with no connecting chord goes back to the old key. That is also the hallmark of a modulation that I call circular modulation. When you have a modulation, there are basically two ultimate possibilities. You either permanently are in a new key and not coming back to the original, which I call a migration modulation, or it is a temporary modulation and the chord progression will work its way back to the original key, sometimes fairly quickly, other times a little longer. In this case, when it goes up a half step for the chorus, after the chorus, it does work its way back to the original key of E, so I call that a circular modulation. The Beach Boys do the two-singer thing. Mike Love takes the verse. The girls take away, the guys get all wiped out. And Brian takes the chorus. You gotta be a little good. So a lot of bands don't do that, but why not? You know, the Beach Boys do it in a really cool way. I guess boy bands have always done that, right? Boy bands always trade singers. And don't forget that little tag on the end of the chorus where it holds F. That's always a possibility for letting a part linger, is seeing if you can justify a note just ringing through the whole thing. Right? Anyway, I hope you learned a lot from this video, and I like this song, and I think it was fun. The girls get away, the guys get all wiped out. Thanks a lot for watching this video and taking an interest in my channel. Please help me reach a larger audience by hitting subscribe below and ringing the notification bell. Check out my video playlist page to find the categories that most interest you. Leave me a super thanks here on YouTube, and even better, come join my Patreon. Please consider buying music for my original projects I.S.S. and High Castle Teleorchestra. Also, don't forget to sign up for my email list on the front page of timsmolens.com. You can find information about all of those things in the description below. Thanks again.